So today we're talking about assets. You have more than you know. Often when we think about our assets, we think about our financial assets. But today we are here to talk about a little bit more than that. At Momentum, we work with people living on low income and we partner with different people in the community to create a thriving local economy for all. We strive to ensure that all people are able to just enjoy the economy and enjoy the community and really just be partners together in this time, especially during COVID, really just being kind and generous to each other. If you want any information about Momentum and the things that we do, please visit us at momentum.org. All of our in-person programming is on hold for the moment, but we have 3 great helplines that I want to tell you a little bit about. The first one is our money management helpline. In this helpline, you can get assistance with any money management tools that you need, some government and community resource navigation, as well as financial coaching. The phone number there is 204-2664, and you can contact them at moneymanagement@momentum.org if you have any further questions. We also have a business helpline and coaching helpline that you can contact. And on this one, you have professional coaches that can assist you with any business questions you may have, if you need any recommendations for your business, or just navigating some of the resources that are out there. That phone number is a little different, and you can also see the email as business@momentum.org. And finally, we have an employment helpline and coaching. This one gives you assistance with resume and cover letter support, as well as interview preparation or any one-on-one job coaching. The phone number and the email are at the bottom of the page. Just wanted to let you guys know all 3 support lines are open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, if you need any support at all. If you get to the end of this and you can't remember the phone number or the email, go ahead and visit us at momentum.org and you'll find all the information you need right there. So just a little bit of quick housekeeping. This will be about a 20-minute presentation with a question and answer period at the end. I do ask that you use the Q&A function if you have any questions. If you use the chat function, it often gets lost in the chat and I might not see the question. So I do recommend using the question and answer feature if you have any questions for me. So let's really begin with the question, what is an asset? Basically, assets are all the things that you need to have a good life, just like it says there on the PowerPoint. Assets are more than just financial. We have quite a few that we can look at today, and I can't wait to tell you all about them. You also have a lot more assets than you think. I think it's human nature for us to believe that, we don't do this or we can't do that or we aren't able, we don't have the ability. And I think we really sell ourselves short as people. We are taught to be humble, and I think being humble is very, very important. But I think part of being humble is knowing your strengths and understanding the assets you have that can help you achieve the things that you're looking to achieve in life. So as we go through this, really take note of some of your assets and think, what is it that I have, right? And I think it's important to recognize what we have as assets and not just wonder all the time, do we have this or can we do this? It's okay to recognize, yeah, I do have that, or yes, I can do that. We have a lot more assets than we think. Let's explore a few of them together. So the first thing I want to tell you a little bit about is there are 5 assets that we have laid out in Momentum. The first one is the connections. We have a sense of self. We have an asset area called the basic needs and services. We have an asset area of skills and knowledge. And of course, we have the asset area of finance. We are not here at all to discount that, but we are definitely here to explain that there is more than one type of asset and that all of them work together in our life. My favorite part about this slide is that all of the asset triangles connect in the center of my assets. No one asset stands alone. No one asset runs your whole entire life. And I can pretty much, with confidence, I can say that every problem or every area of your life that needs a solution or a little bit of assistance will draw from different asset areas together to work together to solve the solution or to come up with a solution. No one of them stands alone and they're all connected. So let's go through them and figure out how. The first one is the basic needs and service asset. So this service or this asset area, it's really all of the things and the services you need in everyday life. And we often discount our basic needs and services and don't even recognize that they are actual assets. However, think about the police force. Think about the fire department and the wonderful drive-by they're doing for children or adult or older adults for their birthdays in this time. Think about your bank, right? All of these things, especially during COVID, that have been deemed essential services. These are all basic needs and services, and they are assets. And the reason they're assets is because there's places in the world where these things are not accessible for people. There are places in the world where you just don't bank. There aren't banks available. Only the rich use the banks in some places in the world, and they don't have the security that we have here in Canada to take care of our financial assets, right? So the bank is a large asset. Going to the doctor. Think about our American neighbors. That's a service. That's a basic need and a service that a lot of Americans don't have access to, but we here in Canada do. We are able to go to the doctor. We are able to access information from a nurse or even call 811 for a little bit of assistance, right? These are basic needs and services that we often don't realize we have, and they are a great asset to us in our lives. The next one I want to talk a little bit about is skills and knowledge. Skills are the things that we can do, just like it says, and knowledge is things that you have learned. We are definitely not born with all of the skills and the knowledge that we have, and they are things that we acquire over lifetime. I think it's important to point out, I often make the comment here that people that ride the bus don't even recognize that they are using both skills and knowledge. Right? They just think, oh, I'm riding the bus. I ride the bus all the time. I get to work, I get to school, whatever it might be. But that's actually a great skill and source of knowledge for us. I think about it because I have 3 teenage daughters. And it came to that point when in their lives when they needed to ride the bus. And I thought, oh my goodness, I actually have to teach them how to do this. I have to teach them how much money they need. I have to teach them where to catch the bus, how to figure out how to catch the bus once they're where they need to go, how to get home. All of these things are important, right? How to pay attention so they know where to get off at the next stop, right? And it's interesting because I think so often we take these things for granted. If you think about the new immigrants or some of the refugees that might have entered Canada in the past few years, they come here and they're sponsored and it's so wonderful, and we send them out into the world and we say, here you go, here's a low-income bus pass, go shopping, get a job and function. But these are skills and knowledge that they might not have, right? Sure, maybe they rode the bus at home in their home country, but have they ever navigated the streets of Calgary? Do they really know how to get around downtown Toronto? Like, this can be really, really scary for people when they are just starting out, right? So some of us that already have this skill and knowledge and we think, oh, it's just normal, this is the way things are, but we forget that it's something that we learned at one point in time, right? And it's something that we are able to do, and we take it for granted as, yeah, we can ride the bus, whereas it's not always so easy. The next area I want to talk a little bit about is finances. And of course, finances are a large part of our assets because we need money really to pay the bills. We need money to eat. We need money for a lot of things, right? But finances are more than just money. Not only is it the money that you receive, whether it's from work or government, it's investments and knowing how to invest. It is being able to use the bank. It is having the tools and the knowledge to manage your money well. For instance, budgeting, right? Budgeting is not something we are born knowing how to do. It is a skill that we learn, right? And it is a skill that we are able to apply to our finances to really enhance our financial life. A lot of people don't actually have that, right? And again, I can relate that to kids. This is something that we have to teach our children. You aren't born knowing how to use money. You aren't born knowing how to manage money. You aren't born knowing how to manage your credit or your debt or any of those things, right? So these are skills and knowledge that a lot of us have and take for granted. However, they are skills and knowledge that are important to learn, right? And so we need to think, yeah, I know how to do this. I understand how to pay my bills, or I know how to budget. For that matter, I can learn how to do these things to, further enhance my financial well-being. Another area of asset that we have is our connections asset. This one we often take for granted because they're just the people in our community, whether they're in our personal life or whether they're in our work life, our volunteer life, whether they're our neighbors on our street. I think in this time of COVID, we have really become far more aware of the connections we have in our life and how important these connections are. Connections can be as wide as the person that you see every day on the bus because you both go to the same spot at the same time, right down to narrow in your family or your spouse, or maybe you're somebody that you are really connected to, your grandparents, right? So your connections can be very wide and they can be varied. I like to talk a little bit here about quality and quantity of your connections, and I think each of us, we kind of have our own style of our connection building and our connections and our relationships and the things that we hold dear to us. I like to make the point in this scenario. I talk often about my daughters again here. My oldest daughter has one or two best friends. And these are the people that she connects with on a regular basis, and she really values these people. They're her deep end friends, I like to call them. And she's got a couple of them. However, I have a younger daughter too, and she literally has a group of 10. There are 10 young women that hang out, and they are deep end friends, and their connection is just as important and just as quality as my older daughter. But she prefers to have more. So I think it's really dependent on what feels good for you when you think about quality. You want to know how many people you need in your life, and you want to know what kind of people are there to help you. I often tell this story. I have a sister-in-law, and there was one time, it was just one of those days, and I sent her a text and I said, I need to bury a body. And the response I got from my sister-in-law literally seconds later was, I'm on my way. She didn't ask who, she didn't ask why, she didn't say, what's wrong with you? She was just she just knew I was in need and she was going to come and help me, right? It didn't matter what it was. Now, just to quickly say, because this is going to be on the internet, I didn't really need to bury a body. It was just one of those days. The point I'm trying to make here is sometimes you just need those people in your life that know, okay, she needs me or he needs me right now. And the last one I want to talk a little bit about is our sense of self. Our sense of self, it really speaks to our personal qualities and traits. Our sense of self, it includes our values and our belief systems. It includes what makes us happy, right? Our sense of self really defines who we are and how we react to the world around us. Our sense of self really also can affect, or our sense of self really leads how the world around us affects us, how we see the world, right? It also is how we think the world sees us. Right? So our sense of self is things like our confidence, okay? Our sense of self is our belief in ability to overcome issues, right? Our sense of self is also our religious beliefs. Do we have any values that we may have? Do we value women's rights? Do we value the right to make our own choices, right? All of these different values and beliefs that we hold all define our sense of self. So let's talk a little bit about using our assets. Like I said at the very beginning, our assets are not standalone, right? Our assets are all built together and they're all designed to build on each other, right? And they're all designed for us to be able to use to overcome any challenges or issues that we may have. And right now, I think a lot of us are facing quite a few challenges with COVID. And luckily, we do have a great deal of assets in our lives in order to overcome some of these challenges or even to just get through this challenging time. So a question you might be thinking is, what do you mean using my assets? How am I going to figure out how to use my assets? Well, like one of the things we like to do at Momentum is to set goals. And I really believe that setting goals helps you achieve things that you may want to in your life. It helps you to see the different things that you're able to do in your life. And the best way to set goals is to define your assets and then figure out how to use them to achieve your goals. So first of all, you really want to set your goal. What is your goal? Think about, what is it that I want to achieve? Right now, during this time of COVID. So maybe you want to achieve just a stronger sense of community with your family, or maybe you want to achieve something at work, or maybe you want to learn how to resume write for when this is over and you're able to apply for more jobs. After you've kind of thought of your goal, you want to think of why you want to do this. Having a why when you have a goal is really going to be the largest asset that you have. Because if you believe in a goal and you understand why it is you want to achieve it, you're more likely to actually achieve it, right? And in saying that, when you set a goal and you have a reason why, you then want to have a date to do it by. Because I could say, I want to save $400 and never ever save, right? But if I have my goal and I want to save that $400 in order to buy a new couch by this date, I'm more likely to do it, right? If you hold yourself accountable and you have a timeline to do the things you want to do, you're more likely to do it. So the example we have here is I want to save $500 into an emergency fund. The question is, why do I want to do this? Because I want to stop worrying about having enough money for my expenses, right? And when am I going to do it by? I'm going to do it in 10 months. So I'm going to do it by December 15th of this year, right? That would be an example goal, okay? I would add into that maybe how you're going to reach your goal. That would be another good step, right? So when reaching your goal, you want to think about steps you can take to make your goal happen. So what is it that I can do to achieve this goal? What can I do to remember my goal? Because once you've set a goal, it doesn't mean that you're going to remember it and actually try and achieve it. I can remember one time I had a goal to buy a car. And so what I did was I took little pictures of little cars and I posted them all about my house so that I could think, you know, when I went to the kitchen, oh, look, there's a car. And oh, yeah, right, I want to buy a car. When I get up in the morning to brush my teeth, there's a nice red shiny car stuck to my mirror as I'm brushing my teeth. Just have little reminders set about so that you can remember how you want to achieve your goal, right? You want to think about what might stop you from reaching your goal. And this is really important because if you know what can get in the way of reaching your goal, you can figure out how to use your assets in order to overcome these things that might stop you, right? So maybe it's over spending out or spending too much money eating out with your friends or having fancy drink Fridays, right? You might want to think about what kind of things are getting in the way of me reaching my goal and how can I use my many assets to overcome this. And the last thing you want to think about when reaching your goal is when I feel like giving up, what am I going to do? What is it that's going to help me achieve my goal, right? Often I would recommend someone maybe to have an accountability partner, right? It's interesting, it's actually proven, I can't tell you who, but somewhere scientifically, it is proven that once you admit a goal or once you have told somebody else about your goal, you are more likely to achieve it because now you've made it real. As soon as you voice it and you give words to something that you want to achieve, you've made it real and you're more likely to achieve it. So an accountability partner is a fantastic way to reach your goal. When we think about our goal and we're creating our goal for success, there's a couple of things you really want to do. So you want to write your goal down. Right? You want to make it real. Put it on paper. Like I said, stick it to your fridge. Put it on the mirror when you brush your teeth. Use it as a bookmark in your favorite novel. Do whatever it is that helps you to see it. You know, put it in the car, a little note in the car or something like that, right? You also then want to list your assets. So we talked about all the different asset areas that we have. So think about some of those asset areas and how they are going to help you to achieve your goal. And write them out, right? Maybe what you want to do is put your goal at the top of the page, list each of the asset areas, and then in each column write down how is this asset area going to assist you in reaching your goal. And after you've done that, actually make steps to reaching your goal. You know, so for instance, if it is, say, to save $500 by the end of the year, figure out exactly how much you need to save each month and write that down. In January, I'll save this. In February, I'll save this. And then you can even have little check marks where you check it off once you've achieved each of your goal, or each of your mini goals to see your large goal to fruition. Lastly, when we think about our asset areas and setting goals and really just getting through this time of COVID, Remember, guys and gals or folks, it is so important to remember that no matter what is happening in your life, things are going to be okay. It might take time. It might take goal setting and planning and asset revising, all of those things that are sometimes tough to do when you're not feeling well. But remember that no matter what, eventually things will be okay, right? Make your goals, know what it is that is going to get you through this challenging time, and then do something about it. Hang it on your fridge, make it visible. It's interesting because I believe that the fridge is the most visited place in a household, right? So if you, I feel if you hang something on the fridge, you're more likely to pay attention to it, right? Know that it's there and it's something that you want to achieve, okay? And then after you've thought about it, remember, think of your first step to achieve your goal. I have a coworker who always says, what's the next best step here? What is the next best thing we can do to achieve what we need to achieve? And even if that's just getting through the day, right? So set your first step and then set your next best step. And each time you've overcome that, set your next best step to achieve your goal, right? To really look at what it is that you can do to achieve what you want to achieve. We went through quite a bit and covered quite a bit in our asset areas. And I was just wondering, does anybody have any questions or anything that they want to chat about before the end of the session today? I appreciate you all coming. It doesn't seem like we have any questions or any comments or any concerns that people kind of want to unpack. But I do really just want to stress, remember, folks, we have a lot more assets than we give ourselves credit for, right? And some of the things that we take for granted are actual assets in our lives that we use every day in our problem solving. Before we move on and close up today, I did want to remind everybody that Momentum has a great updated COVID-19 resource blog with some new information on it as the government releases it. So please feel free to visit us at momentum.org or at the tiny URL here. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We do have a great tax time session information coming up this week. This week's session is on the 21st at 1 p.m. We have a registration link there, so please feel free to register. It is this week and it's about self-employment and taxes during self-employment, and it's a great topic. And then the following week we are doing Should I File My Own Taxes? So we at Momentum are partnering with Sunrise Community Link to deliver these. And I think they are, well, I know they are because I've been to the first two. There's some great information on filing taxes there. So please feel free to register. You can drop in at any time. You didn't have to register for the first one before it started. And then, of course, we do have our money talks. So this time next week on the 26th, we're going to be talking about consumerism. And we're really going to be looking at what is it that you're spending your money on, and how is that affecting you in your budget. So that, again, you can register at the momentum.org or at the link right here on the screen. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm so glad you all could make it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and hopefully it doesn't rain too much this week. Although if you planted any plants like I did this weekend, maybe you're hoping for a little bit of rain. Take care, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of the day.